There we go. We're recording.
All right.
Ooh, that was close.
And we're live. Oh,
Damn!
Taiwan.
That was toy.
Taiwan.
Like
a tiger, Dale.
Yeah.
Like
Hi, Internet.
The unofficial mascot of Outreach Factory. Hello, Internet.
I'd say it's official at this point.
To
2020 review
of Outreach Factory. Welcome to a brand new year that will hopefully be marginally less shitty for everyone than the previous year. And as is our holiday tradition, we are doing the Year in Outrage. I'm your co-host, Derek Boland.
I'm your other co-host, Dale DeRuiter. I was looking at looking back through the past episodes, and I was like, what did we do last year? Year review? And it's like we did a whole decade. And it feels like this year was longer than that decade that we reviewed.
Was basically a decade. Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
well, there's some of the shit, like even looking at like things that happened in like January and February, I'm like, holy fuck, that was this year.
Dude, yeah, like the impeachment thing. I was like, that was this year? Fuck. That felt like, oh, remember in real life when we weren't on the podcast and you're like, think about the one thing that you were the most angry about this year? And
yes.
I got it. And it is the fucking deepening bipartisanship of everybody through politics. And not specifically that, but that affecting their ability to look at shit objectively. And my one gleaming example is the impeachment of Donald Trump. We all fucking hate Donald Trump. But then I was like, yeah, what was the impeachment about? And you know why he got impeached? Because he asked the Ukraine to look into shady shit that Hunter Biden did, which he did in those emails. Nobody fucking talks about that. Just because.
Did he do shady shit though?
Yeah, those emails, the Hunter Biden emails. Remember?
Yeah, what were?
I'm just assuming they're real, by the way.
I don't want to. Yeah.
I don't want to get into if they're real.
And we can talk about that in our recap, but we can also talk about how like Republican strategists need a new, like the emails, the shady emails thing just isn't holding water anymore.
Well, but
you use that on Hillary and it worked for one election.
But the thing is, it's like, we tried to impeach Trump because he tried to go to Ukraine to get the Ukraine to look in shady shit Hunter Biden did. And then it's like all he had to do was wait 3 months and then he would have had he would have had the laptop that fucking Hunter Biden dropped off. And it's
Did
just
that
like,
laptop ever show up?
I don't know. I never seen it with my eyes. I just figured that, I don't know.
I mean, you have all these people talking about it endlessly, but I don't know if anything actually ever came of that. If after the election was lost, they were just like,
I think Rudy Giuliani built his square shoes out of it. He was probably like reading the Hunter Biden emails and then all his fucking hair dye just dripped all over the keyboard.
Out of his face. And that was
fucking fried it so he couldn't tell.
Nuked it.
What was the sorry, I'm fucking full of caffeine. So I'm
that's talking makes for good podcasting.
Yeah.
Let's go.
People
what was my personal
what were you most angry about this year? Was it the same as me? Because it should be.
The bipartisanship. I don't know, it's a tie. On a personal level, I'm angry at the Canadian government's unwillingness to like open the border up, this has been like a recent development, but I've traveled to the States a couple times this year. My wife has come from the States to visit me a couple times this year, and every time I've done it, I've had to fucking quarantine for 2 weeks, which I get. That's fine, but like they are not allowing for rapid testing at airports, which would save me a whole lot of grief. And now they just announced that they're implementing, if Canadians are traveling and they want to come back to Canada, they have to get a COVID test within 3 days of their departure, which is just a giant pain in the ass because our socialized healthcare doesn't cover us anywhere fucking else. So if I want to go to the States again next year, which I will.
Wait. Don't you have travel? Don't you have travel health care?
Travel insurance won't cover anything COVID related,
Oh,
because they're like, you're assuming the risk going to another country.
that's
So,
some
and that COVID's
bullshit.
basically like a pre-existing condition. So I will have to pay out of pocket to get COVID tests in order to return back to my country, instead of my government just using the tax dollars I already pay them to pay for COVID tests for travelers arriving.
You know what they should do?
What's that?
I'm gonna bake everybody's noodle. Make like a rapid test that you could take with you. Like it's wrapped in a package, and then you go to the airport and you like fucking take it, and then you give it to them, and they're like, "Oh yeah, here you go." Or like they could tell if you're pregnant by peeing on a stick. How can they not give you a
Yes.
stick to tell you if you have COVID? This is blowing my mind.
Yeah, just let me pee. Let me pee on you.
Yeah.
Let me pee on you in an airport, and
Let's
then
just
let
start
me
peeing on
not.
everything.
Let's.
2021, the year of pee.
I would still be an improvement over 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's so that was the personal one. The other one was that like the election, just the fucking shit show that was the election, and all
Oh
the like,
God. That
and
fucking election, man.
the accusations of like election theft, and that they're still ongoing, and that no one's just like, this is a symptom of the polarization in the States, is that no one's stepping up and being like, yo, this is fucking crazy. Like we shouldn't be like undermining
There's the
everything
one
people
guy.
believe about our democracy.
There's the guy from
Is there the one guy?
Nebraska. The guy from Nebraska, he's like, he's a Republican guy. He's like, guys, fucking knock it off already. But I think he's trying to look good for his 2024 like presidential run, because he came out. He's like, all right, guys, we're at the point where we're gonna start harming the like everybody's viewpoint of democracy. So we
Yeah.
gotta rein it back. And it's like, yeah, but part of me is just like, could you imagine if somehow something happened and Trump won, just to watch like everything just keep burning down? But that's like part of me. But then I'm immediately being like, okay, like I fucking hate Biden, but he's just like, he's not a dumpster fire. Like he's garbage. He's
Yes.
just not garbage that's on fire.
I mean, we'll see. We'll see how his presidential term ends up being, and it'll probably just be a one-term thing because he's old as fuck, and he doesn't seem to be that popular. I think he's that popular because he's not Donald Trump. But after after a year or so of his presidency, when people start forgetting what Trump was actually like, I think he will seem a lot less rosy in comparison. It's funny. The one thing. Trump is supposed to be helping, because they have the runoff elections in Georgia right now to help determine who controls the Senate.
Oh God.
And there's
This
two
is where you
Republican
lose me.
seats. There's two Republican seats up for election right now.
Yeah.
And Trump's supposed to be helping campaign to get Republicans elected in those seats so that they can retain control of the Senate. But instead of doing that, Trump is just ranting about how fucking how the election results are illegitimate and no one should trust the election results in Georgia. And they're thinking that might actually hurt, because if his base believes that it doesn't matter if I vote, a Democrat's going to get elected, then they end up not voting. And Trump basically shot himself in the foot in the presidential election by dissuading Republicans against mail-in ballots, because he spent a couple months leading up to the election saying, hey, mail-in ballots they're not legitimate, they are false, people have to get out in person to vote. And then the mail-in vote overwhelmingly went in favor of the Democrats because Trump had spent a couple months shitting on it. So we're probably seeing a repeat of that, which would be
I hope this time,
interesting.
like with the presidential election too, they told everybody to not count any mail-in votes until after. Like they're like, don't count these yet. And then when they started counting them, they're like, oh, what happened? So I just fucking hope they start counting these as they come in, so we don't have to fucking deal with any of that bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, it's 2 Senate races, and hopefully they'll like be staffed up enough that we don't have to wait fucking 2 weeks to find out what the fuck's going on. Anyways.
Yeah.
Those were things that pissed me off and continue to piss me off. But yeah, that's definitely what made me angriest this year.
Hold on,
But,
I gotta close my door. It smells like weed. My neighbor's
oh,
a fucking
damn!
huge hippie. Although wearing this, you think I'd be the one blasting dupes.
yeah. I mean, you definitely look like you smoked a couple. Hi, everyone. I appreciate this personal stage to Jesus Christ to air my grievances about Dale specifically and that gratuitous crotch shot he just gave us.
I just wanted everybody to know that I'm wearing matching pants if you didn't think, because Emilio already complimented me on the fucking jacket, and I was like, wait till he sees the fucking pants. It'll blow his top. You weren't doing the same thing you did last time when I left and just like talking about my dick, were you?
No, I didn't have anyone to dunk on your dick with, so.
That's reasonable. I get that.
2021 already looking up for you, bud.
Yeah, it's already a vast improvement. So, do you want to get right into our review, or do you want to hear my feedback from the tarot cards?
I want to hear what the
tarot
cards said about our podcast specifically.
Okay, so Andrea has a bunch of tarot cards, and every year we do.
Not surprising.
She's like, let's see what the tarot says we're going to learn this year. So I'm always like, what's my lesson for this year? And she has these animal ones, and it's like you pick an animal, and then the characteristics of the animal are the lesson you're supposed to learn. And so, as a side, I've gotten a skunk for the second year in a row because my lesson is to be learned is the skunk. And the hilarious thing is, it's actually a really good card because it's like it talks about the stench of a skunk being actually your confidence and sense of self-worth, because a skunk, nobody fucks with it because they see the skunk and they're like, oh fuck, I know that. So it's like, if you get the skunk, supposedly you have so much self-confidence that you don't really listen to what people are saying negative about you. So you kind of get into this other world. But then there's this weird part where it's like, even though your scent like pushes people away, sometimes people are attracted to it, I guess, like other like girl skunks. And it says you have to watch
cats
out
with white stripes down their back, like in the
and it said I have to watch out for my sex magic, for it might actually draw people in that I'm not really wanting to or knowingly doing.
That's always been a big concern of yours.
Yeah. Like too many people falling in love with me. That's always been my concern. Yeah. That's why I'm so obnoxious. I'm like, I have to, like a skunk, I could just spray everybody so they leave me the fuck alone so I could play video games and listen to audiobooks and watch TV shows about space, because I don't want to have to deal with people being in love with me, because then I have to, I don't know, whatever people in love do.
Yeah. Especially if you were like, you got to spray that stench of you being a one woman man far and wide. Yeah. Otherwise you'd be like polyamorous, which I have no fucking idea how that works, because who has the time or energy for multiple relationships?
I feel like if you were polyamorous, it would be like waking up hungover every day. That's just how tired you'd be from like trying to like please people and not annoy people. So Andrea's lucky because she's the only girl that gets my stank.
Yeah. Andrea, I hope you recognize how truly grateful you should be.
She's the only one that gets this guy's sex magic. Okay, so I did the same thing. Like I asked, I was like, what lesson or what do I have to do with the podcast this year? Or like, what do we have to do? And I got the fucking eagle. It's like
nice,
the number one card. So it's like fucking like 2 pages of reading. So I'm not going to read everything.
Yeah, don't.
But I took quick notes of what I thought were the good things and just ignored the bad things, because that's how I guess a skunk runs his life, So it's this is one of the things it said: state of grace through hard work. I mean, we were just talking about how this is our 5th year into the podcast. That should be enough fucking hard work.
We've been doing it for 5 years.
Yeah, we almost made it a year without missing an episode. So there.
That was mostly on your back. I missed many episodes.
Yeah, but like since we went to video, we haven't missed an episode till last week. But that was well gained. I just felt like people were too busy like
doing holiday shit. Yeah.
Okay, and then what else it said was Take heart and find courage, for the universe is presenting you with an opportunity to soar above the mundane levels of your life.
Every other podcast out there, yes.
Which I feel like is a backhand compliment. Like, thanks, Tarot Deck. I am going to soar. And I was like, wait, my life's mundane? What? Fuck you, Tarot. So, yeah. And it says, you have been put on notice to reconnect with the element of air. Sure. Areas of the mental plane. All right. And in the instance is of the higher mind. Okay. Eagle asks you to give yourself permission to legalize freedom and to follow the joy your heart desires. So at the end there, it just got super American.
Yeah, are we anti-maskers now? We need to push for them to legalize freedom, which, as we know, is notoriously illegal.
That was like the weirdest thing I've ever read in a tarot book. Is like legalize freedom. I'm like, what? How do I, for myself?
Is freedom illegal?
Yeah. So basically, I'm going to interpret that as in we're going to get fucking famous like this year, right?
Yeah.
We're going to get the fucking wind beneath our wings like Bette Midler and eagle this shit up.
I mean, that's my interpretation. Yeah. And we will finally be able to make freedom ring on this podcast specifically, where we are very heavy-handed in our censorship of guests and ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. I was going to talk. Do you want to talk about resolutions at all? I like how we're like, this is the review podcast, and we haven't. It's been 20 minutes.
Reviewed anything.
Yeah.
We're 20 minutes in. This year, I definitely walked back my resolutions a lot, just based on the year, because I like to do like a look back and be like, oh, these are the goals I set for myself in 2020, and they were all fucking, obviously I did not accomplish a single one of them. Even the one about reading books, which, you know, COVID should not have had an impact on. Maybe it should have made me read more books because I was just stuck at home the whole time. But I shit the bed on that one as well. So this year my resolutions are like just basically survive and make it through the year. I want to hug people. I want to like travel to a couple new places, but like probably within, you know, like a 1 hour radius of Vancouver or whatever.
That'd be nice.
And then what else? Like very small fucking achievable goals that I will feel good. No, what are you doing? You can't take it off.
I'm getting hot. Don't worry. Look,
too early.
A fucking sporting tiger underneath too.
You're on brand. That was it for me. Is just like the way I'm looking at it, 2021 is largely going to be a write-off as well. And everyone's celebrating like, hey, we crossed this arbitrary barrier into a new year, and things are just going to automatically start getting better. No, they're not getting better by a fucking long shot. We still got like spiking COVID cases everywhere. They're starting to like roll out the vaccine, but it's still going to be like months before we return to normal there. The shit with the economy is really going to hit the fan this year when the impacts of all these people being laid off for multiple months or seeing a reduction in income. That's finally going to start hitting us. So, you know, we got 2021 not going to be a rosy or fun year for most people as well. So yeah, long story short, my goal is to just survive.
Nice. My goals are to lose weight because I put on weight because of COVID. So even if I get back to what I was at the beginning of last year, I'll be okay. And I want to own a house because I'm fucking sick of paying rent. So I feel like kind of a dickhead because, like, as you were talking about how the economy's crashing, that means house prices are going lower because people can't afford their houses and everything's getting foreclosed on. I'm going pretty politician with it, where I see the darkness and I just take advantage of it.
Yeah. No, that's what you got to do. Like,
yeah. So
you want to get ahead.
I don't know. Hopefully by year 6 of this podcast, it's in a 2-bedroom apartment that I own instead of a 1-bedroom apartment that I rent. And it's funny because it's like, I'm like, oh, a 2-bedroom apartment? Fuck. And like, think of our parents. They're like, oh, you can see our neighbors and our house only has like 6 floors.
Yeah. Like 6 bedrooms bullshit. And like, oh, our yard's only like fucking 4 acres. I'm like, what? Like, you know what I would give for just like a patch of grass that I could call all my own.
Yeah, I mean, like, just imagine, like, owning what our parents owned when we were kids, but still making the money you make now. Because we could have those houses if we move to like some fucking podunk town, but then we'll be making like 40 to 50 grand a year. And I got expensive tiger shirt tastes. I can't go back to that.
Those are all designer brands. Those
Yeah.
are not imitation tiger shirts.
Actually, this is a Le Chateau. Does that count as a name brand?
Yeah, you know.
Because Andrea bought it for me because it was $7. Because as the home thing, I see something going out of business and I take advantage of it.
You gotta.
Like a good capitalist.
Well, hoping that you do achieve your dream of home ownership, and then we can convert that second bedroom into a podcast studio where we can get together and record in person.
Oh my God. Remember when I was going through the list of shit that we did, April 3rd, that was when we went to streaming video. So we haven't recorded since before April 3rd. But you know, I gotta admit, I kind of like Zoom because it auto levels everything. So it's like there's no dirty secret is there's no post production. Like I clip the end and the beginning off, and then I just put like the title card and shit, and then everything else is just automatically done by Zoom, which is good. But sometimes,
I mean, to be fair, there was very little post-production before we used Zoom.
Yeah, that's true.
I did not do a ton of editing before those episodes were posted. So.
I remember though there was, because we used to do it in GarageBand, or did we do Audacity first?
We did Audacity.
Oh, that was garbage. And then I remember there always being reverb or something. Like you're like, why is it so echoey? I was like, because it just would automatically put a whole bunch of fucking reverb in it.
Yeah, okay. Looking back, 2020 was not so bad compared to that stretch where we were using Audacity to edit our podcast.
Oh my God. Remember that one episode we recorded 7 times because it kept just fucking crashing?
Yes, Dale. And we do that for you, listeners, so that you never have to miss our spicy hot takes on shit going on in the world. With that, do we want to just blow everyone's mind with the things that happened in the pre-COVID part of the year?
Yeah, because actually we're already better than 2020 this year because half the world's not on fucking fire like it was at the beginning of 2020. Like the Australia fire where 34 people died and an infinite number of cute koalas were harmed in the process. And I don't know about you, Derek, but 34 people died. It's not that bad of a natural disaster. But if you show me fucking koala bears with singed fur, I'm upset. I mean, sorry, Australians. I didn't care about your lives. Why would you do that?
The bushfires killed at least 5,000 koalas.
Oh,
as much as a third of that was just in New South Wales, which is a state, and that the fires destroyed 24% of koala habitat.
No, koalas. Yeah.
Nobody talks about that.
No, they just talk about the 34 people who died. Yeah, run faster, people. It's a fire. Get out the way.
Those 5,000 koalas had families.
Yeah.
It was probably. I don't think we have too many Australian listeners. So.
Okay, so so we're just gonna go. I love how we're just gonna. This is what we'll
recap.
We'll go by month. Obviously, we're starting with January, so I'll just say what else happened, and we'll give our hot takes.
I don't know why that was so fun. It's obviously we're gonna for our year review. It's obviously we will start with January.
Well, yeah.
We'll do this in chronological order, yeah.
I just meant we were going to go by weeks and not by episodes that we had. Or not weeks, sorry, months. We'll go January, so there'll be 12, bang, 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 instead of me being an episode, blah, 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 of Outrage Factory. So it'll be some of this, it'll just be stuff that happened. Okay. Are we done with Australia? Should we snap these off? Because we got 12 months to go through. We're already almost half an hour in.
Yeah, I'm just seeing Australia fire recovery. Is there a rosiness? Is there a nice
A happy ending?
Well, just like
Fucking spiders died. That's a happy
good.
ending.
No more huntsman spiders. They
Yeah.
have been eradicated. All right.
Harry and Meg, the two royals, left the royal family because apparently Britain was racist, so they came to USA where racism doesn't exist.
Actually, they came to Canada first. Didn't they head over to like one of the Gulf Islands initially?
Oh yeah.
And they were there for like a month, and then they were like, nope, fuck this, too remote, don't like it, too many hippies, we're going back to wherever.
Oh yeah, because the Queen said that if they were out of the royal family, they weren't allowed to make money with their titles and shit. So they're like, oh fuck, we got to go to fucking Hollywood and just trick people into giving us money over like whatever. We got to go be influencers because that's the only real career opportunities anymore in 2020.
Yeah, it's well, like basically, if you want to have any influence, like didn't they sign a exclusive podcasting deal with Spotify?
Oh yeah, did anything ever come of that?
I think they are like that's going to be their thing. So they're going to have the Harry and Meg podcast and
fucking get on it
because
it's not that hard. It's not that hard to podcast.
True. It's like, who do you think has more influence right now, the Queen or Joe Rogan? Who's more influential?
Fuck Joe Rogan. Wow.
There you go.
His face isn't on any money.
We'll get there.
Oh my God. You know what would be the best ever? If we took Joe Rogan, put like a powder wig on him and just put him in Buckingham Palace and like we just pretend that it's no different and just see what the fuck happens. Like he's like, oh, I'm the queen, turt, and just like does Joe Rogan shit. Like he's like wearing that solid green dress and like pumping kettlebells and like fucking doing that shit. Yeah. It's so hard because it's like we got to keep moving, but I don't want to like. So every segue is just going to be a cold, like fucking abrupt segue.
That happened, and that I don't even know where Harry and Meg are now. Somewhere in the States, right?
I think they're in Los Angeles.
Allegedly?
Los Angeles,
City of Angels.
The proper way to pronounce it, I've heard.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, and then in January, the fucking World Health Organization finally admitted COVID was something that exists. It only took them 2 months before they're like, oh yeah, this does spread from person to person. Because people are forgetting that in the beginning, World Health Organization was just fucking parroting whatever China told them. And they're like, at first they're like, yeah, it can't spread from person to person. There's no reason to worry about it. And then it just fucking lit the world on fire. And then the first case in the USA happened in January.
Like the first one in Canada as well.
Yeah, I didn't find a date for that because nobody cares about Canada, apparently. All the year lists that I looked up to cheat to get stuff to talk about didn't mention that. So
weirdly.
Yeah. Kobe died in a tragic helicopter accident, which it's not really any hot. Oh, there's the Ari Shaffir thing about that could cause anger.
What?
Do you remember that? His tweet?
No.
He was like, good. Kobe was a racist. I'm glad he's dead. Fuck the Lakers.
What, for real?
Yeah. Don't you remember that? We talked about that. Maybe that was one of the ones you missed.
Yeah. Or it could just be January. No, I would have been here for that.
Yeah.
I remember talking about Kobe.
Oh yeah. No, because we were talking about Kobe's whole rape allegation.
Oh, the rape thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
But yeah. So there was outrage about that where everybody like I get it. He's dead. You want to not talk about the bad things that happened, and then Ari Shaffir did go a little overboard with his joke. And I think he was punished severely and lost a lot of career opportunities because of that one tweet. So I don't know. Oh, and then Brexit actually happened. And that's all that happened in January. I mean,
that was it. Pretty quiet news month in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
I would think.
Mm-hmm. So on to February. So the aforementioned, well, not aforementioned because that's like I mentioned it before, but before in the podcast, like 20 minutes ago, when we were rambling about bullshit, I was talking about the Trump impeachment thing. That was in February when he got acquitted. So I guess we just don't care whatever fucking Biden did. Oh, Emilio in the comments section said the Hunter Biden files were released by the NSA leader, and then he happened to qualify for an amazing high-level retirement out of the country. Hey, sometimes these things happen at the same time.
Well, I'm like, Hunter, so the Hunter Biden files were released, and then what came of it?
Twitter banned anybody who mentioned them because they left the World News out of New York, or was it in the New York News or the World News or whatever? One of the places out of New York published the emails with Hunter Biden's email address in it. And they were like, this is private information. You can't publish this on Twitter. So they blocked all messages referencing those emails. So it was kind of like a fucking weirdo loop around where they could just censor it.
So why didn't they just publish it without the email address
You know,
displayed?
Derek, that is a very good question.
such-
And I think
If
it
these
has.
are such damning
Yeah, I think it has
documents.
something to do with the right wing's crazy reaction to every time they're questioned and just doubling down when maybe they should compromise.
Well, that's like the and that's something we saw take off this year, like the right wing's
Yeah.
Basically stance that like social media platforms are biased against conservatives,
Which they are.
because of all the are
I
they
mean,
though?
They are,
You look at like,
but in some ways they should be because sometimes the right wings are a little bit off hinged. But I feel
like
I feel like it was an overcorrection because when we were growing up, the right wing were the bad people. They were like fucking. They didn't like homosexual marriage. They didn't like abortions. They didn't want equal pay for women. So they were like the obvious bad guys. So now it's almost like the left is getting to take pot shots for like 10 decades of stored up animosity. So they're kind of like giving it to them on Twitter and Facebook.
yeah, but it's not like these social media companies are run by mega billionaires who are like, I doubt Mark Zuckerberg is out there, praying that he has to pay more tax money to
no.
and you look at like the 5 most shared like posts by month on Facebook. Every month this year, the top 5 were like right-wing posts or right-wing conspiracy theories, or so there's this confusion over like, are they censoring conservative voices, or are they saying, hey, the shit you're saying is false, don't say false shit, we won't have a problem? And conservatives are like, well, I'm being censored because I can't just say whatever the fuck I want.
I think it was more like a posturing thing. Like, obviously, these billionaires don't hate right-wing people because they like money, which is what right-wing people do. But there was a lot of like weird, hanky shadow banning shit that is hard to prove. But like, I feel like it was just like the billionaires like Zuckerberg and stuff who run this were just like, see, we're left wing too. We care about you, because there's still more left wing people online than there is right wing, because left wing people are kind of just like, in a generalization, are more tech savvy than the right wing.
I don't think any of that is true. What?
You don't think there's more left wing people on the internet than right wing?
No. Jesus Christ, no.
What fucking internet are you on?
Look at but like look beyond your like sphere of like the people that you interact directly with, and like Facebook is like boomer country where it's like all right wing. Like I will occasionally, as a thought experiment, I will go and look at like what people in Kate's social network talk about or what they comment about, and it is all like right-wing conservative viewpoints. So like I think because we are in Vancouver in Canada, so Vancouver's a very liberal city in a very liberal-ish country compared to the United States. But like you look beyond your immediate sphere and like, fuck yeah, there are tons of conservatives on the internet. for every, I'd say they're equal. Like there's conservative voices, there's liberal voices, and then the shittiest, loudest grifters from both sides absolutely deserve to be banned because they're just exploiting people. But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really prove. That was my intent. That was my thought. Like, it might have been like 5 to 10 years ago, there was more left-wing people because they were more likely to have computers in their home and be on Facebook.
Yeah.
And it might be that like right-wingers are louder now because they're like more coming to Facebook. So it's like a newer thing where they're still like into it. Like, remember, like, what was it, like 10 years ago with Farmville, how like people were like on Twitter overnight, and then it was like that's what the boomers are now. Like, they're the ones, they missed out on the whole Farmville thing, but now they're wasting their whole lives on Twitter or on Facebook.
On Facebook now, and like Twitter, it's like the generational thing. It's like the boomers have taken Facebook. We're like uncool-ish. And
Derek, no, we're not.
pretty old.
I'm wearing a Tigers shirt. How am I uncool?
We'd have to get a millennial viewpoint on that, but
no, thank you.
We're on Twitter, and then
Yeah.
I think where all the action happens now is on like TikTok and which TikTok I'm not touching. Ever.
I'm in TikTok. I have 5 videos. I only did it so I could do like 20-second clips of this podcast and put it on there because, as we talked about before, this is the year for the eagle to reconnect with the spirit of our air. Is that what I said before? Something like that. Anyways,
something like that.
I feel like getting on TikTok with this podcast is like being an eagle and forging ahead. And I don't know, because I want to get rich, but I don't want to have to like do hard work. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes perfect. I think that's everyone.
Sorry, I'm laughing at the comment. Like Brittany said, Matt likes Ben Shapiro.
Ben Shapiro.
Which Derek said
we'll talk about.
he doesn't understand something that we'll talk about later.
Something that we will talk about.
There's a tease because, like, in case you're like, "Fuck, I've had enough of this," we just teased you why you should stick around because we're going to talk about Ben Shapiro later.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So Parasite.
Oh, sorry. What else happened in February?
Parasite sweeps the Oscars. It's the first time that a foreign language film won Best Picture, and the only reason I'm bringing this up because I fucking hate the Oscars is because there's only like 3 things that happened in February.
It was a great ass movie, though.
I haven't seen it yet.
Recommend everyone. Oh, dude, you should watch it. It's really good.
I was gonna watch it, and then Andrea hates like horror and violence, and then I totally forgot, and then I went down the Bond rabbit hole, which I've talked about pretty much every podcast since the beginning of December. But now I'm on to fucking Expanse, and oh my god, if you haven't watched Expanse, get ready to lose months of your life because that show is fucking dope.
It's a sci-fi show. Sci-fi.
Yeah,
like
it's
sci-fi?
like
Sci-fi?
it's a fucking sci-fi political drama in space where there's like this like. So what happens is there's this like weird alien molecule that's in Saturn's rings, but it's been there for like 1 billion years. And then they go to like study it and it like infects people. And then all this shit happens. And then
Spoiler alert.
Wow, that's,
man.
When does it stop being an enticement? When does it stop being an enticement and start being a spoiler alert? That actually was a spoiler. I think you don't find that out till like episode 3. So I'm sorry. But Thomas Jane is in it and he has a mohawk. And remember like 3 years ago when I had like an undercut mohawk thing?
I do.
It was all because of that show. Because I started it like 5 years ago and then I totally forgot about it. And then I just restarted it from the beginning. Oh, speaking of alien molecules infecting people, Weinstein got convicted in February
Did he?
Fucking, I don't know, like 6 lifetimes in jail for being a piece of shit.
Good.
Yeah. It's nothing really to talk about that. It's like, I don't really think anybody was sad for it. Are you? Stop talking to.
Sorry, I was
talking to the comments.
I was dunking on Matt. freedom of speech advocate Matt McClaren in the comments. But I was like, oh, what happened to Weinstein? He's still alive, unfortunately.
He had COVID.
And did he?
Dude, apparently he has a super hot girlfriend in jail now.
Fuck.
Yeah.
What?
Dude, look up Weinstein's girlfriend. She's a smoke show. Maybe we should go to jail. Sorry, Andrea.
Girl, no.
Spread my skunk stank to someone else.
Spread this skunk stench.
Okay.
Weinstein girlfriend. Okay, you can go on to the next thing.
Okay, that's it for February. Now you can see why I brought up fucking the Oscars, because there wasn't much happening. On to March. Get it? We're marching on.
I like it.
Little dad pun there. Fucking Tom Hanks got COVID. He was the first superstar to get it. Went to Australia. Dude, if you have some spare time after this podcast, go into the conspiracy theories that Brittany was telling me about Tom Hanks and coronavirus. Ooh, they're delicious. It's apparently like they went to Antarctica to like go look at some weird shit, and then he like got COVID, so it's like some big cover up for something else. But I don't know enough about it, but if you like conspiracies, go check it out.
I mean, I don't as much as you do, clearly.
Oh, dude, that's all I care about. Oh, when we were talking about our fucking resolutions, one of my resolutions is to listen to more conspiracy podcasts, which is just going to make my life so much worse.
This is going to be the year that I think you actually become radicalized, because you'll start listening to these and being like, I'm listening for entertainment, and then you'll just cross that plane where suddenly you're like, these guys make some really good points. Why is whatever the fuck happening?
Yeah, can we prove for certain that the frogs aren't homosexuals now, like Alex Jones warned us about? Oh, I was telling you,
chemtrails fly overhead, and all of a sudden I want to sodomize men.
Those are baby conspiracies. What I was listening to a good one. It was like Sam Tripoli, and they were talking about how the Christian religion is all references to astrological things, like Jesus was born in the age of Pisces, so that's why there's like the fish symbology in the Bible where he broke two fish apart and fed everybody without tartar sauce. So he's actually kind of a jerk. Because could you imagine eating dry fish that Jesus just fucking muffled all over his hands with? But anyways, I don't know. Like, if Jesus is like breaking these fish into just multiple
like splitting,
pieces,
just like ripping fish chunks.
It's just dry fish covered in Jesus' hand sweat.
How did he do that actually? Because it would just be like flaking all over the place. Yeah. Did we ever ask for like how Jesus was ripping fish apart with his bare hands?
I bet it was exactly like the clown handkerchief. He was like, had the fish in his hand and it's like big hippie sleeve thing. And he was like, oh, and he's just like pulling out fishes and one's like biting on the other one's tail. He's like, oh, like pulling it out of his mouth.
Like a human centipede of fish.
So I'm listening to this podcast about like all these astrological symbols, and they've got like tons, and I'm like, this is some deep crazy shit. I got to read the Bible with this in mind. And then like 45 minutes into this podcast, Sam Tripoli's like, oh, I don't believe nuclear weapons exist. And then I'm like, oh, this guy's a fucking nut job. Great. And I just listened to it some more.
I love how for the first third of that podcast you were like, I believe in this shit so much, I'm going to read the Bible, which is like, you would never, under normal circumstances, do that.
Yeah. If I listen to the Bible on audio tape, will I be re-indoctrinated into the church? What if there's
did you watch the Nixium documentaries?
No.
On the sex cult? Anyway, they had this like, way of identifying people who were like, I don't know what they called them, but like highly suggestible, which means that you are like, as a human being, you are more susceptible to manipulation or misinformation.
Oh yeah, like easy marks and stuff. Like con men call them marks.
Yeah,
because they're people. It's like the same type of people who like can get hypnotized easier. Because some people you can actually hypnotize, but there's some people who are more open to suggestion, and you could just like hypnotize them.
Yeah, like that's 100% you. That's you.
No,
You're that
I can't be
person.
hypnotized. I never.
I'm going to read the Bible to learn about Jesus, the fish god.
Yeah, but then he turned out to be crazy. So now I don't have to read the Bible because it's. Although I do kind of want to read the Book of Enoch because that sounds crazy.
Which one?
The Book of Enoch. I don't know what it is. They always talk about a conspiracy theories. It's like some weird, crazy, like Christian, like aliens, and I don't know. I don't know. I'm not. I don't know. I'm obviously not going to read it.
Apocalyptic religious text. I'm down. The best part of the Bible is the Book of Revelations. Like that's the most interesting part of the Bible.
I've read two parts of the Bible. That's Revelations and the part where they crucified Jesus, which was a little too horny on the gore for my liking. I mean, I'm not into gore now, like I guess all these Christians used to be. That was some dark shit. Oh yeah, the NBA got shut down in March. I don't care about the NBA, but I'm just putting that because that was the first sport to close down, and then everybody else followed.
That was the first sport. Yeah. I think that was the first inkling of like, oh, this COVID shit is getting pretty real because this major sports league just shut the fuck down. And it was like, all of a sudden it's like, oh, COVID cases are kind of on the rise in the US. And then all of a sudden it's fucking everywhere. And all these players are testing positive. So they shut the NBA down. And even like now you look at the numbers back then.
Oh God, they were nothing.
They were nothing. It was like what, like something like 8,000 cases a day or something, and that was enough for them to like shut an entire multiple sports leagues down and like impose these crazy lockdowns. And then now we're up to like 250,000. I think it's even climbed above 300,000 cases a day a few times, and people are just like, well, life's gotta go on.
Yeah, but do we really have to close the liquor store before 8? Come on.
Dude, I need my booze. How am I gonna go?
Hey, it's New Year's. Let me go buy booze. It's like you should be better at pre-planning.
Well, like who the fuck waits? Do you know anyone who waited until 8 p.m. to buy their booze?
I don't really know anybody who was doing something entertaining enough that they had to purchase more booze than they already had in their house.
I mean, not even this year, but like in previous years, nobody's like, oh, I'm gonna wait until 8 p.m. because you know what? I fucking love standing in lines at liquor stores. So I'm gonna wait until the dumbest, stupidest, most busy time.
Exactly.
And then I can actually ring in the new year well in line at the liquor store.
Yeah. Also,
what else happened
after the lockdown? I don't know exactly when it happened, but it started in memes first, and then Trump said it, and then people actually realized, like just calling it the Chinese virus, the Kung flu, the Wuhan sickness, all that shit that people were just like, this is racist. And it's like, well, it did come from Wuhan. Is it racist?
Still racist.
I mean, calling it the Chinese flu is racist, but calling it the Wuhan
or
flu
the Kung
not
flu.
Racist. Yeah, that's just
still
like
racist.
It's also not even that funny. That's like 60-year-old dad joke racism that you're like, all right, if you're gonna make me listen to racism jokes, at least make them funny, and that is not funny. Get out of here.
It's not. I don't think it's racist to call it the Wuhan. It is calculated to call it the Wuhan virus or the China virus because we are looking at. I mean, the Cold War ended a while ago. The U.S. has been kind of without like a major antagonist for a really long time. We are about to enter the era where America and China are like gonna slug it out for the ultimate superpower.
There is a silver lining to this. With China being their obvious enemy, they don't have to go in and topple a government and put in their own puppet government so that eventually they could build up their own like fucking foe so that they could launch fake wars and stuff at. Like now they actually have someone who they can legitimately have umbrage with. Also, I think this year China's gonna pass the States with the GDP. I think it is.
Oh, 100%. Because their economy has been running for the past 12 months because they did, they did Communist Party shit and like shut down the country. And, an anecdote that I heard from My brother, who lives in China, and his wife, who is Chinese, they spent their New Year's Eve in the hospital because one of their coworkers had like respiratory problems. It wasn't COVID, but they took her to the hospital and they were like, because she wasn't feeling very well, and they were like, yo, she's feeling sick. It's not COVID. She had a negative COVID test. And they were like, we do not give a fuck. You are isolating. She's isolating. We're locking everyone up in this hospital until we know for sure it's not COVID. And that was basically where they spent their New Year's Eve, in the hospital in China, because they were just like, they were not going to risk that this was a case of COVID and go out and let them transmit it to other people. So
and as opposed to that, sorry, I just want to butt in because I have something directly to counterbalance that. Like, I got an email from my boss on the 31st, New Year's Eve, and it was like, on the 24th, there might have been a possible COVID, whatever, when someone has it, and you might have been like exposed to it, like a possible exposure. Me and my words. And they're like, if the coastal health place doesn't call you, then just don't worry about it and monitor yourself. You're like, I was like, wait, what the fuck? I was like, who was it? And all this stuff. And they're like, I was like, is this a privacy thing? Tell me who got it so I could see if I talk to them. And they're like, it's a privacy thing. We can't really tell you who had it, but if nobody's phoned you, you should be okay. Like, that's our level of fucking COVID tracking.
Yeah. So whenever people are like, everyone's like, oh, this virus was like, it was a Chinese conspiracy because they made it and then they shipped it out. The rest of the world got it and no one in China got it. You're just like, no, the conspiracy is that in China, people fucking fear their government and they fucking listen. And the government has no problem locking you up and shipping you off to some COVID death camp if you don't comply with their shit. So whereas here, it's like, oh, I don't want to wear a mask, so I'm going to be a fucking asshole and go out in public and yell at people about how I shouldn't have to wear it. Like, that is why the virus is more prevalent.
Like, if we started fucking welding people's doors shut so they couldn't leave their place, maybe we get a fucking little, like, our hands around this fucking virus. I totally lost where we were.
Fuck, it doesn't matter. Fuck,
that was March.
Year.
Now we're in April.
Hey, we made it through March.
Woo! Everyone watched Tiger King in March or April.
Oh, wait, March was actually also, I want to point this out because it personally affected me. That was the first time the U.S.-Canadian border had been shut down in our entire lifetime, and it remains shut down to this day.
Yeah. Picked the wrong time to marry an American girl, Derek.
You're fucking telling me, buddy.
Yeah. That was very bad timing for you, but very good timing was for Tiger King because it came out right after the lockdown, so everybody fucking watched it. It's funny because the reason I watched it over a weekend was we started talking about it, and I was like, oh, I haven't talked about it, or I haven't seen it, and everybody in the comments was like, dude, fucking watch Tiger King. So I watched it, and it was very overhyped. I mean, there's stuff that's good about it.
Yeah, looking back, I don't think anyone would have watched this fucking show if it wasn't for COVID. Like, that is 100% of the reason it became as popular as it did.
Oh, yeah. Like, look at Carol Baskins on Dancing with the Stars. Nobody gave a fuck at all.
No. Because that was early pandemic entertainment, and now it's like, just nobody gives a shit.
Yeah. After that, Boris Johnson got COVID. So
an update on the Tiger King situation. Yeah. I don't know why I know this, but I was just like, must have been researching it.
Derek, you could tell us. You love Tiger King more than anybody else.
I know that Joe Exotic had been campaigning to have his sentence commuted by Trump before the end of Trump's term, and Trump didn't commute his sentence, and Joe Exotic is very fucking upset about that. So,
the guy lives in Maple Leaf Land. Like, I want my ability to fucking morph the world around me into what I want it to be the same level as Joe Exotic's, because that guy is fucking. Well, until he went to jail, he was living in a pretty good dreamland. Like, he had a couple of years there where he was just fucking batshit crazy, got two little fuck boys to meth up and have sex with. Life was golden, and then it just fucking came crashing down.
All fell apart on him.
Boris Johnson got COVID. I mean, the funny thing was Boris Johnson got COVID, and then after he came out, he was like, yeah, maybe we should stop being all fucking super fat and obese because it actually makes it harder to fight COVID. And then everybody's like, you can't fat shame us. We want to be fat and put our lives in danger. Don't remind us that we're living unhealthy. And I could say this because I'm technically obese.
Yeah, so was Boris Johnson. So
By
he
the
actually
numbers.
was allowed to say it as well.
Yeah, so if I get COVID, I will probably die from it, and Derek won't because he's way skinnier than me. So, yeah.
Sorry about your genetics and that this virus kills fat people.
Yeah, I think it's more of me being fat than my genetics. Oh, speaking of people dying, the Nova Scotia shooting happened in fucking April, and
Wait,
that
for
was
real?
like, yeah,
Jesus.
that was Canada being like, hey, look at us, Big Brother USA. We can do fucking people shooting each other too. In the fucking, yeah. So this one was a weird one. Like, I'm sure everybody heard about it, but it was like a guy who was obsessed with the cops and who actually wasn't a cop, had 2 replica police cars, and then he drove around in one of his police cars and like it started at like he was having, I think he broke up with his girlfriend or wife, and then he was at a party, which was still during lockdown, so he shouldn't have been at a party. And then he fucking just,
why was he at that party?
he just fucking snapped and had his falling down moment where he just started fucking shooting people. And then he got into his police cruiser, and then he drove around and like went to people's houses and stuff and knocked on their door and then like shot them. And then he stopped someone in a car and they're like, what's wrong, officer? And then he shot them. And then I think he ended up killing like 22 people. It was something bonkers.
Gee.
I'm pretty sure it was 22 people. And it was over like a day and a half or 15 hours or something. Like it started at night and then it went well into the next day. And then there was allegation, like people saying that the police should have warned everybody, but the police didn't really want to be like, hey, don't listen to any police officers.
Ignore all cops.
Hey, you know those RCMP guys that are trying to protect you? One of them's killing everybody. So just fucking drive away from them. So they kind of like, it's such a hard call, right? Like you don't want to tell people to ignore the cops because then if the cops actually find them and they're trying to reprehend them. So yeah, and then they fucking caught him at a gas station and shot him.
I mean, so it is especially confusing that cops wouldn't want to send that message to people when you look at cops and they also just like keep killing unarmed civilians. So like why, they're sending that message indirectly, but they don't want to ever just come out and be like, yo, cops are trying to kill you.
Yeah. Like this guy did it all at once. And that's where the problem was, instead of spacing it out like we've been doing for hundreds of years. And then after that, in April, the Pentagon released all those videos of the UFOs from like the couple years that they had. Oh, do you want to hear something crazy? You know that like
crazier than that?
Yeah, the states
crazier
thing.
Than the Pentagon.
Yeah, the states thing, like their newest fund where they're going to give people money. One of the like fucking weirdo attachment comments is they gave the government 180 days to disclose everything they know about the UFOs. That's in the latest, like.
Wait, did Trump himself work that into the bill, or was that?
I don't know. Like, I'm not going to read the Bible. I'm obviously not going to read a fucking document that's legalese as long as the Bible. But it's like, apparently it's like over 3,000 pages, and it's like an addendum to an addendum. And I think somebody who is like, because what happens in politics, I learned this from a TV show, is when somebody's passing something like money for the COVID, people just get their dirty fingers in there and they're like, oh, since this will obviously get passed, we're going to put all this other bullshit in there so that it kind of gets piggybacked into being passed. So nobody's going to not.
Well, that
pass.
Yeah, there was stuff that it was like the same thing with the national defense spending bill, which has never been like vetoed in American history. And Trump vetoed it because he wanted a provision that allows people to sue social media for what people say on social media. Like if someone someone said something slanderous about you, Dale DeRuiter, you could turn around and sue Twitter.
Yeah, but if somebody handed out a piece of paper to other people that said something bad about me, I could sue them. So I should be able to sue them on Twitter. It should be
You could sue the
considered
person.
publication. Yeah.
You wouldn't be able to sue the printing warehouse where they had printed those.
Yeah, you are.
That's what Twitter is.
Okay, to me, it's like if someone put in a classifieds for a newspaper. Like if I phoned up to the classifieds and I said Derek's balls are way too hairy to be human, and put that in the classified section of a newspaper, you could sue me. But if I said that on Twitter, you couldn't sue me. I think they should just
I could sue you.
Oh, okay.
I could always sue you in any of those situations. Trump is saying you should be able to sue Twitter or be able to sue the newspaper.
Because you can sue the newspaper, so because they published it. So I feel like they should just treat Twitter like it's a publication platform, and then people could sue them. Fuck it, whatever. You can't tell people how people's balls hairy. Fuck, whatever. My brain broke.
My balls broke.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. So we're going to say that every person on a social media platform now has to be held to the same standard as a journalist.
No,
but that's what this is opening the door to say.
No, what happens is everybody or Twitter has to be held to the same level as a newspaper or a publication forum. I believe that.
So what do you think is going to happen? The byproduct of that is that if Twitter and Facebook risk getting sued for anything anyone says on their platform that is factually incorrect, do you think people are going to be able to say the things they say on Twitter and Facebook?
No, anymore? And they shouldn't be able to say those things. Like fucking Germany and France, I think, were trying to get something through that if you said hate speech on Facebook or Twitter, that they would sue Twitter and Facebook for not taking it off.
That just seems like a very big overreach to me. It's like
it's unattainable.
We want these social media platforms to have more control over what people say on them.
Yeah,
at the same time.
Basically, you'd have to have a filtration system on Twitter and Facebook that would have everything be okay to put up. And there's no way that could possibly happen. Like you would have to have like over 1 million people hired at Twitter and Facebook overnight just to go through all this shit.
Yeah, the amount of content, like they're doing a shit ass job already. And like, I can't foresee a world where like social media platforms could operate if they were held liable for the things people said on them.
Oh yeah, they just all go broke.
Like you just couldn't say things anymore unless you yourself were ready to be sued for it.
Yeah. The other thing is they'll just get AI to try fucking filter it, and that's doing a wonderful job.
Yeah. It's not.
That's it for April. Let's go on to May.
We're not even halfway through the year. We're an hour into this episode.
Yeah.
Let's power through it, baby.
This is going to be a long haul. Remember the decade review was over 2 hours? It was our longest podcast ever. I do recall that. Okay, we could go faster because now we're getting fresher so people know more about what happened so we don't have to talk about it as extensively.
May.
Post Malone covers Nirvana. Everybody loves it.
I liked it a lot. That was one of the highlights of the pandemic for me.
I mean, Nirvana music is notoriously easy to play, so I wasn't that impressed. I mean,
he did a good-ass job.
Yeah, he did a good job of sounding like Nirvana, but Nirvana doesn't sound that great to begin with. Everybody hates me now. Murder Hornets came to the US and Canada, which used to be called Asian Super Hornets or something. I don't know. They've been in like Japan for fucking decades, but now it's a big deal that they're over here and somebody coined the term Murder Hornets and now everybody got scared.
I thought they were here already, and I think around May, the media was like, well, people aren't as scared by coronavirus news anymore, so let's go with the fucking Murder Hornets.
Yeah.
Because there was like, I read a story about how there had been like a nest discovered in Washington like last summer, like 2019.
Yeah.
And like one Hornet found its way into Canada, and that was like them arriving in Canada. But I don't think there was ever anything to come out of it.
Yeah. But yeah, whenever they came, but they fucking popped onto into like the zeitgeist, I guess you could say.
They did.
And then in May was also when George Floyd was murdered by Derek Chauvin, who's a piece of shit.
Yes.
I mean, we've covered that extensively. Everybody's covered extensively. Nobody likes what happened, and if you do, don't even talk to me. Now we're into June. Black Lives Matter protests happen. People started the bullshit like BLM, ALM, like all lives matter stuff. That was fucking annoying. The Bubba Wallace situation in NASCAR.
Oh wait, I want to say the funniest fucking thing. There was it was like a Proud Boys protest in somewhere in Oregon yesterday, 2 days ago.
The Proud Boys are still around?
The Proud Boys are still around.
Fucking take a hint, guys. Nobody likes you.
But fucking the cops actually like turned on the Proud Boys and were telling them to like disperse and shooting them with rubber bullets and doing like their riot control shit. And there was more than one video posted on the internet of Proud Boys getting all indignant that they had spent so many months defending the police during the BLM protests, but now the cops were turning on them, like them being on the cops' side against black people was somehow gave them like a free pass to assemble or conduct themselves however the fuck they wanted.
Yeah, people are so fucking dumb. Like that's not how
it's
reality
like the
works.
laws still apply to you. And also I thought the Proud Boys and conservatives in general were part of the just respect the law and nothing bad will happen to you crowd. So
yeah,
why
exactly.
Are they not
like
just respecting.
Yeah, like their whole thing was everything bad that's happened by the police was because you didn't listen to the police. So now I guess it's a valuable lesson for them being like, oh, sometimes the police just go overboard and they exude too much force for the situation. And now maybe everybody will learn their lesson, like a fucking old Disney film where the dad learns he works too much.
They won't. Nobody will learn anything. Everyone will just choose to ignore the shit that doesn't align with whatever they already believe. So fucking cool.
The Bubba Wallace situation, he's the how do I say this? He was a visual minority. I don't know. He's part black. Is that problematic to say?
You're allowed to say that.
Okay. So he was part black. So they thought that there was all this racist shit happening, and he was saying how the pull down for the storage container that he was like given for the NASCAR season had a noose tied on it. Oddly enough, like I saw months later, like last month, they're like the Supreme Court was just like, yeah, no, it's been like that for over a year. So it wasn't racism directed at Bubba Wallace. What are you squinting at?
Well, I'm just trying to like read because I remember this story like was there. It was fucking everywhere. Everyone was talking about it. And then it just like was a complete non-story and disappeared. And I was like, was there ever any follow-up done? Like, did they find that it was just
yeah, the Supreme Court was like, it was because I think people thought that there was like a fucking noose, like life size, hanging down from the ceiling in his storage container or locker or whatever they give you at NASCAR, but it was actually the pull for the door. Like the rope to pull down the door to close it was like tied like a noose, but apparently it had been like that for like over a year. So it wasn't directed at him because whoever had it before had done it like as a joke. Like, you know how like idiots like tie stuff into nooses, being like, hey, look at this knot, it's a noose. I'm going to hang myself because I'm sad. And then
or even like just tying it into a noose because it was like a pull cord for something, right? Like
an the pull down for the door.
Yeah.
Like I made this motion 3 times, Derek. Come on.
Well, I thought you were
Thought I was spraying my skunk stench around.
Your stench, your must.
We're just gonna be here all night. June. Oh no, wait. Yeah, this is June. Sorry,
we're done with me.
Chaz happened, which they named Chop after, I don't know, what was it? The fucking
Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, baby.
yeah. So it was funny because they're like, we don't need the police, we can make our own society. And then they made like 10 blocks or whatever their own society. And then they started killing each other and being super violent, just like they thought the police were. So, as a nice little social
But
experiment,
they did not kill.
there was like 2 people shot in there. Like, I think 2 of them died.
Were 2 people shot in a 10-block radius in a major city? Oh
Yeah.
no, it's anarchy.
Wow, I'm just saying. They had roving gangs of people who, like, if you filmed them, they like beat them up and stuff. Anyways, it's just, it didn't work.
I don't think I knew people who like lived in that
Really?
area of the city.
Oh.
Yeah, like they weren't. They like lived like they had homes in that area of the city that was taken over. And they said that the media portrayal of it was like total sensationalized bullshit. There were no like roving gangs of people. There was no like threat to anyone's personal safety. It was just like, it was basically like a big hippie love-in, which seems more obnoxious
That people got
to me.
shot at.
Well, yeah, like I think
people did get shot.
Two people.
Like, I want to believe everything your one friend who lived there said, but people got shot there and people were assaulted and there were rapes and shit. It's just like any group of people just are people and they're dickheads.
Hold, I'm reading here.
Okay.
I'm
I'm not saying it was fucking anarchy in there. I'm just saying they tried to prove that nothing bad would happen if the police were gone and people got shot.
I don't think that's what they were trying to prove. I don't think no one making the defund the police argument is saying that if we get rid of police, crime will cease to exist. What the defund the police argument is saying is that, hey, police deal with a lot of shit that police are not trained or equipped to deal with.
Yeah.
So instead of giving them $1 million budgets so that they can buy tanks and use those tanks to respond to mental health problems, we should be funding other social issues instead.
Yeah.
Or like, you know, giving, and some fucking dumb idiot made a joke on Twitter today about like Nancy Pelosi's house was vandalized. About the stimulus checks, and he was like, oh, do you still think we should defund the police? And it's like, yes, you fuckhead, because A, no one's gonna catch who was responsible for fucking vandalizing the house. Like, cops are useless at that. And number 2, yeah, like cops do not need full military equipment to respond to a house vandalization.
Yeah, exactly.
Or to turn. So like, yeah, the Chaz stuff was like, obviously that was not going to it was never going to be like a lasting model, I don't think. But the way everyone was like, well, we proved that everyone needs police exactly as they are right now to survive is also bullshit.
Yeah, they fucked up when they called it defund the police when they should have said like, I don't know, like demilitarize the police or something like that. Yeah. Like, I get what you mean. Like, they should have, or even like pair up a police officer with a social worker. Like, don't make social workers go to domestic disputes by themselves because shit gets violent, but don't make police go there by themselves either. Like, have one-on-one.
Because and maybe give social workers even like a fraction more money than what they're currently getting versus police who get like $100 million budgets to buy cool shit that they can turn on American citizens whenever there's protest.
And stop taking all the military equipment out of war areas and giving it to the police so it looks like you need more war equipment so you can get a bigger budget to build war shit so you can make new stuff.
Yeah, and stop letting congressmen and senators invest in defense contractors so that they make money whenever police departments or the U.S. military places a big-ass order for tanks that they can use to roll over American citizens or brown people in other countries.
Yeah, just give them to me. I'll go do jumps, and I'll wreck them in the woods, and then you can buy new stuff. Jesus. On to July.
Fuck.
Ooh.
Hey, we're halfway through the year.
Halfway through, baby. July was when they finally decided, hey, let's fucking go arrest this Ghislaine chick because she was helping Epstein like get women and sell them into like whatever the fuck
underage women into sex slavery. Yeah.
The fuck was his island called? I want to say Little Sebastian, but that was the horse off of Parks and Rec.
Jesus.
Why that keeps popping up?
Little Sebastian Island. Well, now you've ruined it for me.
Yeah.
Epstein Island. What were you called? Private island. Little St. James Island.
Ah, St. James,
You were
Sebastian. Starts with an S, same amount of syllables. All right. So yeah,
close. Little Sebastian Island.
Yeah, they went and caught Ghislaine for her fucking gross dealings with all that shit. The St. Louis gun couple was that couple in St. Louis. As the protest walked by, they were outside and they're like pointing their guns at people, which was fucking dumb. And then they got some charges. I can't remember exactly what happened, but I don't think they actually ended up serving hard time. I think maybe they got community service and some fines.
Grand jury on Tuesday indicted the St. Louis, Missouri couple who displayed guns while hundreds of racial injustice protesters marched on their private street in June. They were featured speakers on the first night of the Republican National Convention.
Jesus.
Uh,
That's almost as bad as getting Bill Clinton to speak at the DNC after he was involved in the Epstein shit. Both sides are so dumb.
They're
both so dumb.
What else happened? I think that's it.
Oh, okay. So now people know how awkward they are when they hold guns.
Yeah, like just the. I'm just looking at the picture again.
You think you'd look tough holding an AK-47 or whatever the fucking assault rifle he had was, but it's possible to look like a Jewish lawyer when you're holding an assault rifle.
It is,
because that's what he was.
When you're a Jewish lawyer.
Also in July, the Wayfair kid trafficking conspiracy shit that was like, I don't know. It was something else.
That fucking blew my mind. That story was like, again, one of those things where it was like everywhere, and then it was just nowhere, and nobody. Like a lot of people were spreading that story, but I don't know if anyone went back and like took a good hard look at themselves and said, "Wow, that was fucking crazy. That was a really crazy thing that I believed.
Yeah,
why did I do that?"
Yeah, and then everybody's like, "Why are we spending this much money for stuff on Wayfair?" And Wayfair was like, "No, we don't give you kids with your cabinet. This is ridiculous." I think what it was after the Epstein thing and Ghislaine getting arrested, and people were just all red pilled at the same time that there is this multinational, like super rich globalist kid fucking ring. They're like, wait, this actually exists? And we thought this wasn't possibly true. And then they're like, it could be fucking anywhere. And then it was like, oh shit, this thing is super expensive. And if you look up the item number on this Russian website, it picks up a picture of a kid, and nobody's like, why the fuck does that do that? Like, that's weird. Like, why do they have pictures of kids with a number? And it was just like this whole like weird fucked up thing. But like, it was just like, I think somebody was like copy and pasting random shit off the internet for placeholders on the Wayfair website, and then it ended up like that.
Well, yeah, it was also like, there is absolutely a, secret society of like incredibly rich and powerful people who probably do a ton of shady and illegal and like vile shit for sure. But they have like their own websites to do that on. They don't need to use Wayfair to sell children, because they can have their own website that no one will ever find.
Yeah, it's called the dark web.
Yeah, if someone finds it, they just like buy off the investigators or the police department, and it is allowed to continue happening. So we can all feel comfortable buying furniture from Wayfair still.
Yeah, even though none of us who are listening to this or on this can afford to buy shit from Wayfair.
I just bought a new dresser from Wayfair. It was
look at you, fancy boy. Oh, I guess
it was like $300.
Did you go to the peasant section of Wayfair? Was it like drop down,
No,
like kid trafficking,
yeah,
peasantry?
it had a weird name. It was the little Stephanie dresser,
Yeah.
little Stephanie from Little Sebastian Island. So really looking forward to that one arriving.
Hey,
So
I mean, if you could actually order stuff off Wayfair, then maybe Angelina Jolie doesn't have to go halfway around the world just to like get more kids for her like weirdo
it's
20-member family.
just order them online.
Okay, fine. I didn't know there was also cheap shit on Wayfair. You proved me wrong, and so did
There
Brittany
is.
in the comments. All right, that's it for July. Now on to August.
Wait,
Hockey came back.
what is an RV stand? Is that a TV stand, or do you need a stand for your RV? Brittany, please respond.
I hope it's RV. I hope they're RV people now.
All right,
Okay,
hockey came back.
hockey came back. I mean, don't really have to talk about that, but it was weird to have it. It was weird and awesome to have hockey in August and have the condensed like playoffs and stuff. It was awesome.
I will say hockey came back and NBA came back, and both of those did their bubble
Mhm.
playoffs, and it was fine. Like both the NHL and the NBA did like enclosed cities where nobody was getting in or out, and all the teams taking part like stayed in the compound, and then the NFL was just like fuck it, we're doing regular
Yeah.
NFL shit.
We're too big to fail. That's
yeah.
the NFL.
And as someone who is heavily invested in fantasy football, this year was just like a fucking shit show from a fantasy perspective, because every week it was like, oh, this player tested positive and these players were close contacts, so they're out as well. And these games are getting delayed or moved, and these games are getting delayed or moved. And basically there was like nothing reliable in the NFL this year.
And it was a shit show.
Yeah, it was an absolute shit show.
Yeah.
But they still made a lot of money. So
Mhm.
anyway,
Ellen was mean, apparently. Everybody was like, wow, this person who makes a whole bunch of money because a TV show runs properly gets mad at people. And to me, it just sounded like fucking like entry level PAs and stuff getting sick of someone being mean to them and telling them to do their fucking job. But I work at the trade, so that's every single person that I work
yes.
with. WAP happened. WAP. Wet
Can we talk
ass
about that?
pussies. Yes, we can.
Pussy.
Oh, dude, I heard the funniest thing on last podcast on the left. There's this guy Ben Kissel, and he was talking about WAP, and he was like, "What is that? Like when their ass gets super sweaty and the sweat just runs down their butt crack onto their pussy?" And it was the grossest, most hilarious version of WAP. That's all I'm saying about butt sweat pussy.
I don't like it.
And that's not called WAP. That's called swussy.
Thank you for the clarification, Dan.
Hey, how
totally
many?
different phenomenon.
I guess that continues the streak where I offend every single female listener by talking about vaginas again.
We don't have many left now. We can all look forward to the FBI has committed to releasing all their Swissy documentation as part of the COVID relief bill. So within 180 days, we will know everything they know.
Yeah.
I promised Brittany we would talk about Ben Shapiro specifically in relation to WAP, which a lot of conservatives, him particularly, got so bent out of shape over this song. Ben Shapiro's just like, it's hard to take the guy seriously because he's such like a nerdy, like his voice is fucking nerdy. He's like 5'5". He's just like the least masculine guy in the world.
That would make sense why he goes so hard in the right.
And then he fucking comes out swinging, saying that like he didn't understand how what like a wet ass pussy was.
Hey, I mean, if you don't get sex that much, or
you only do it to make children,
yeah, or you don't run with some of the girls who are fully confident in their own sexuality enough to talk about how they're good at sex, then you would be Ben Shapiro, who doesn't know that sometimes women might enjoy having sex.
right?
Mm-hmm. It's just so. It's so dumb when these guys are like, something happens like with women and sexuality, and then they just fucking out themselves as never having sex. I mean, I never have sex, but I don't fucking out myself about it.
Yeah, you still talk about it. You're not like, how does a vagina work? You're
Yeah.
like, hey, I fully understand how a vagina works. Just don't ask me for any particulars
Yeah.
because
Even if I don't witness it firsthand, I know that they are there and they have a function.
Anyway, that's all I got to say about
Okay.
vegetarian, I think.
For a matter of brevity, I'm gonna skip all the Jacob Blake / Kyle Rittenhouse stuff. Are we okay with that?
Yeah, I'd lump that in more generally to like the ongoing BLM
Yeah.
shit that was happening, and all the unrest around
Mm-hmm.
that, and people picking sides and digging in, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure Kyle Rittenhouse is definitely going to be going to jail for.
He's in jail right now, isn't he? Or
Yeah,
did
but
he get out of bail? Yeah.
he will be convicted.
Yeah, he's going back.
Yeah.
Biden picked Kamala
Kalama
Harris as his running mate, which a lot of people on the left weren't happy with because she's pro cop. She was a cop, and they apparently missed the part where Joe Biden wrote that crime bill that put everybody in jail pretty much. So there's that. That's it for August. On to September. RGB dies. Everybody's favorite Supreme Court person, judge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cuties. Fucking weird thing happened. So I guess everybody's like familiar with it. What it was someone in France made this movie and they're trying to portray and like tell everybody how 12-year-old girls are over sexualized on the internet, and then they somehow managed to over sexualize girls in the process and everybody lost their shit.
The movie itself didn't do that, but the advertising that Netflix chose to market the movie really fucking missed the mark and did a shitty job of it. But like the movie itself, and I think that and the Wayfair story kind of get grouped in where we're like, we are all so, I don't know if it's just like projecting or everyone's on edge about like the sexualization of young girls, but we're like, oh, it's a cabinet with a little girl's name. That's related to the sex trade. And this movie about how girls are sexualized too early is making me deeply uncomfortable. And are you popping pills over there? What's going on?
I'm taking my vitamins.
What a guy. Okay.
I forgot to take them before.
Like you need some uppers to keep the podcast going here?
Yeah, I need some fucking meth. No, everybody should be taking these. This is omega-3 with vitamin D. If you're not taking vitamin D, you very much should. It has nothing to do with cuties. I'm sorry for derailing everything.
Cool. That's fine.
That's what this podcast is. I mean, you've been here for 152 episodes, so you should be fully used to a little bit of derailment.
Tangent Factory.
Yeah. September was the month where we all kind of knew Florida was fucking ass shit bonkers, but we're in September, right? Yeah, September was the month where the governor of the state formally announced to everybody around the world that Florida is ass shit bonkers, because he decided that people in college shouldn't stop going to parties or do anything for COVID because it's like taking away from their college experience. And yeah, so what the fuck, Georgia? You're bonkers. That's it for September. October, the movie Social Dilemma came out, and everybody for the first time realized that social media is bad somehow, and
yep,
for impressionable kids.
I have nothing to offer, and I was like, yeah, it was interesting watching people be like, oh, that's how social media works.
My favorite thing was it was all shit we all knew, but we're like, oh, now that it's in a documentary on Netflix, I guess it's true. Trump got corona, and then he beat it because he's supreme good person of health. But he got some like super. He basically got all the best drugs you could get. Says I can't remember what it's called, but there's one if you take it right when you get corona and you first get symptoms, it helps get rid of it.
Yeah, he got all the experimental treatments, and like I remember, even despite that, I think it was pretty fucking touch and go for the guy
Yeah.
for a while.
Mhm.
There were some pretty grim updates coming out, and then like everyone in his inner circle got it or has continued to get it since then.
Yeah, yeah. Like there's that big GOP thing that happened, and everybody like 9 people got it, and it's like, when did you fucking think it would happen?
Yeah.
Tampa Bay Lightning win the Stanley Cup, which is just the closeout of our thing before. And then they went to fucking Florida and did the Florida thing where they had a huge Stanley Cup party and whereas the super spreader COVID event. When did QAnon start? I just remember QAnon in October because that was the month that we had Mac on to try explain QAnon to
Oh,
me.
QAnon's been like
Yeah.
2 years, I think.
Okay.
That's like going all the way back to like Pizzagate and shit like that.
Yeah. So, anyways, I had QAnon because I had Mac on for that episode. If you want to go listen to it, you should. Mac knows so much about conspiracies, so I fucking have a man crush on him because every time I talk to him, he tells me all this cool shit. The Hunter Biden thing, which we talked about before when I was complaining about the Trump thing. Everybody's least favorite Chris thing happened with Chris Pratt, where everybody hated him because he made some joke about that movie Onward because he wanted everybody to go vote for it at the Teen Choice Awards.
Wait,
And
what did he say?
it was on Instagram. He said something about we need everybody to do their part and vote for the most important thing that's happening this year and all. Like he just like did that thing where you make it sound super important, then it's actually about something dumb and it's a funny joke. That was just what he did. And then everybody's like, "You're my least favorite Chris." And then everybody in the MCU is like, "Don't you fucking talk about our Chris Pratt like that. He is an awesome guy and we all love him." And it was crazy because it was like everybody loves Chris Pratt so much apparently because he's just such a nice guy that everyone's like, you can't say shit about Chris. You say anything you want about fucking Robert Downey Jr., but not Chris. Is that your you want to say something face or is that your we've been doing this
No,
an
I'm
hour and a
reading
half?
about the Hunter Biden
Is that the
story.
face you
Like,
make when you read?
yeah, normally like this.
You're gonna fucking do you get does your eyebrows hurt after you read because you scrunch the muscles in them so
Yeah, when I'm thinking about stuff. Yeah, that's what happens.
thinking about stuff gets you a headache because you're like, that's hilarious. That's it for October.
No, I was just I was trying to figure out what the fucking Hunter Biden story actually was.
Good luck. I think the left wing purged it from the media, from the social media.
Well, I'm reading. There's something on the Hill saying that that the media not reporting on the Hunter Biden story was like the biggest non-story of the year because they should have been reporting on it.
Yeah, I mean, they should have. Like, if it's a thing that happened, that's something we should know about. Do we have to explain it? Does everybody kind of know?
Hunter Biden was meeting with Ukrainian business people.
Yeah, so apparently he tried. What the story is, Hunter Biden gave money to someone in the regulatory committee in the Ukraine for in the energy industry, like
I
oil or
thought
something.
he was getting money from them.
No, what happened was I think he paid money to them. Or no, yeah, he got money from some people in Ukraine so that he could get Joe, his dad, to put pressure on people in the regulatory committee to make it so that they could ratchet back restrictions and stuff so that the energy sector in the Ukraine could get more money because they didn't have to follow all these stringent rules. And then they gave Hunter Biden a hunk of money. I think that's what it was, supposedly. Allegedly. Matt wants us to talk about the Chris Evans dick pic, which, I mean,
Chris
it's
Evans showed his dick.
It's not a starter because I couldn't find his dick pic. It got scrubbed from the internet. So I don't want to talk about glorious dicks that I don't get to see. Whatever. Are you satisfied with the Hunter Biden thing?
I still don't get it, but I'll read about it, and I'm sure this will be something that gets talked about non-fucking stop in conservative media for the next 4 years. So I'm sure we'll have a lot of time to revisit it.
I don't know. They kind of let go of that Hillary emails thing pretty quick.
All right.
November. Denmark mink cull. Denmark mink.
Rest in peace to the minks.
Those are two words that are hard to say together. Yeah. So what happened was the mink in Denmark got COVID and they started spreading it to people. So Denmark, being the badass motherfuckers they are, they're like, we're killing all these fuckers. And
millions
they just
of mink.
slaughtered millions of mink so that they wouldn't spread COVID. And then what happened was they didn't bury them deep enough and they put them in this mass grave. And then when all the bodies from the mink like bloated from decomposition, they started like working their way up in the mud. And like, cause like if you stack things on top of each other and they expand, they go up.
17 million mink bodies would
and then they started poking up out of the dirt. And then everybody's first impression of what was happening was that it was zombie mink. It wasn't just that they didn't bury them deep enough. It was just that they were zombies, straight up. That's the first thing they went to. Jordan Peterson goes to publish his his follow up to 12 Rules to Life at Penguin Publishing House thing, and then employees of Penguin are like, "You can't do this because we're crybabies," and it was like a big shit show.
Jordan Peterson also was that the month that he emerged from rehab for his painkiller.
Yeah, that's
painkiller addiction.
When he came back from Russia for his painkiller addiction. Which, I mean, if you get a novel out of it, why not? I mean, I would say something bad about an author getting a painkiller medication, but Hunter S. Thompson books were good, and all the other people who are addicted to pills and shit. Biden wins the presidential race.
Did he actually win that in the month of November, or
did he?
I mean, it's still fucking ongoing. So
no, he was declared in November because the election was the 3rd, and I think it took just under 2 weeks. I think it was the 19th. Sounds about right when he was officially declared. Okay. That's it for November. On to December.
Round in the corner.
Woo, we're almost there, baby. It's only an hour and 40 minutes in. I can't believe people are still with us. Thank you for hanging out with us. I mean, what are we going to do once COVID ban lifts and people actually can go do stuff and not watch this podcast?
We're going to lose our audience, but that's okay because I too will be out doing shit instead of sitting on this podcast.
Yeah, that's true. We won't need the attention through Facebook and Zoom. We could just go get it
in real life.
By hearing other people's voices. Okay, so December starts off with Warner Brothers says that they're going to release all their movies in 2021 simultaneously. Did I say that right? Simultaneously in the theater and on home streaming sites, which I was super fucking pumped for. And I was like, this is the greatest thing ever because theaters are a disgusting fucking tube of farts, are big black box of farts and disease, and I don't want to go there to get COVID. And then the first movie to come out of this was Wonder Woman 1984 on December 25th, and I was so fucking pumped. But then it turns out it's $30, so I didn't do it anyway.
Oh, so you didn't watch the movie?
No. Hey, ask me if I'm rich enough. Derek, I'm not the guy shopping on Wayfair. I can't pay $30 to rent movies.
How much would you have paid to go to a theater to watch a movie after you factored in ticket for you, ticket for Andrea, popcorn, like that? It's well above $30.
Yeah, it's way over $30. But it's the experience of seeing it on the big screen. I've got Expanse to watch. I've still got like 3 seasons left. Yeah.
I think the movie
I
The
also
mo-
I also didn't think it didn't warrant paying $30 for Wonder Woman. I mean, it's a great show, and I like the first one, but for me to pop $30 on a movie, it's gonna have to be a pretty good one.
like 99% on Rotten Tomatoes. I think the movie studios are assuming that in households that are renting these movies, there's like 4 or 5
Yeah.
or 6 people watching it together. So they were like, you're still saving money on like a night out at the theater. But for people who are like single or even just in couples, does it make as much sense financially to do it? I'll rent it for sure, but
I mean, I'll just wait till it comes for free on streaming services.
sure.
Like, I mean, if there's a movie I really want to see, I might do the Bond one. I might rent that because, as I talked about before, I'm watching all the Bonds, and I only have Spectre, which is the last one on Crave to watch. So once I'm going to be caught up on Bond. So I'll probably want to watch that while all the Bonds are still fresh in my mind instead of waiting a couple months. Okay, there you go. Whatever. I'll pay $30 to watch Bond.
All right. All right. Good to know.
You win, Warner Brothers. Fuck.
Oh, Brittany said they rented Tenet last night. I actually didn't know that was available for streaming yet, so I will probably now do the same. Thank you, Brittany.
Oh yeah, dude. I want to watch. I'm probably not going to pay $25 to see that, but I want to see that because it's the guy from Ballers, that football
It's
TV
who?
show with The Rock. The main guy in it was from that.
Isn't the main guy in it from? Isn't the
From
main
what?
guy from Ballers The Rock?
No, it's I don't know his name. He's an African American fellow, and he is not nearly as big as The Rock. I don't want to say small because he's still ripped. He's just small when he's standing next to The Rock.
Wow, aren't we all, Dale? Aren't we all?
Right? COVID vaccine rolled out in December. Where's my vaccine, guys? I still haven't gotten
Yeah, it's good.
it.
You're gonna
I
be
said
waiting.
I still stand by my point that I am strictly anti-vaxxer until a scientist can tell me it will not detrimentally affect my penis. And people keep telling me I'm dumb for being an anti-vacciner, but they won't reassure me that my penis won't go limp for the rest of my life.
Yeah, and they won't reassure you that you have a nice and/or functional penis now. So, what use are these people?
Hey, that's why I'm so worried. My dick's already terrible. I don't need it to be worse. And in final, the last thing that happened in the year was Joe Biden and Kamala Harris jointly got Times Person of the Year for doing absolutely nothing.
Hey, they beat the most easily defeatable
Barely.
incumbent president, and yeah,
Yeah.
they barely do. So kudos to them.
Yeah. They somehow turned a landslide victory into a marginal victory, which should have made everybody fucking worried.
They did. That's Person of the Year territory. Did you catch any of the New Year's Rockin' Eve from Times Square bullshit that was on TV the other night?
No, I was going to, and then it was too hard because I don't have like cable. I do everything on computer. So I like Googled it and I went to like the YouTube live feed, and then I was like trying to line it up so it was, and then I was just like, oh, this fucking I can't.
It
So
was
I
fu-
just yeah. How
it
was
was
it?
fucking grim, man. Like it was awful. Like truly, I think they were, kudos to the producers of that for trying, pushing through and trying to say that there was some sense of normalcy, but it just reinforced what a dystopian fucking nightmare we're living in right now. And like the performers looked depressed. All the people, like there were 0 people there, and the people that were there were in like little cattle pens that kept them separated from everyone else, and everyone was wearing masks, and it just it made me feel overall worse about the situation we're all in, and that's saying a lot because I felt pretty fucking bad about it.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't really
Yeah.
watch New Year's Eve any other year either, so like the Times Square thing. What's the next big event that usually happens? Is it Super Bowl halftime? Like, are they doing that this year?
I think they they're doing I think the Weeknd's performing Super Bowl
Like, didn't the Weekend
halftime.
already perform there?
Super Bowl halftime show February 7th.
Does the Weekend have new music?
That's going to be fucked up. Oh, it is the Weeknd also. Yes.
Mm.
Um Yeah, that's gonna be another weird one. Like it's in Tampa, which is so I don't know if anyone there is gonna particularly give a shit about social distancing or enforcing any of that.
I mean, yeah, that's the one place they can actually have people there.
It's the NFL, and it's the end of the NFL season, so I could see the NFL just being like, "Fuck it, everyone get COVID. We don't care anymore. We're good until next season."
Yeah.
So it's we'll see how that goes off.
I mean, Florida's probably like, we didn't order any vaccine, so if everybody just gets COVID, then we don't have to vaccinate anybody because
Herd
they'll
immunity,
already have
baby.
immunity. Yeah,
Herd immunity.
exactly.
Way to go.
I mean, think of all the money you're going to save.
Sure.
That was a marathon, but we're there. We did it. I feel like us talking about 2020 was almost as long as 2020.
20, almost, yes.
Like, that was an hour and 50 minutes.
But congratulations to you, listener, because you made it through both the year 2020 and our recap of 2020. And now it's nowhere to go but up from here, even though the next few months will probably be equally shitty for everyone.
Yes.
Wow,
this is fuck. We just did so much talking. I'm like, we should be talking more.
No, we shouldn't. I have had my wife and my son sequestered in my bedroom for the past 2 hours while we recorded this. So I'm going to go have a tearful reunion with them. But hey, I've been your co-host, Derek Bolin. Thanks for tuning in and joining us for this episode. You can find me on the Twitter machine at Herder.
I am Dale DeRuiter. You can find me on the Twitter machine at SuperDaleBot. Oh, I got something to say. So if you noticed you got followed by Outrage Fact Pod on Twitter, that's because I'm doing that thing where you fucking follow everybody so you get more followers and more people.
Don't tell them that. Just tell them you followed them because they're important. And that's the only reason. Because I noticed we got a lot of follows back. And he followed you because you're very important and your opinion matters. That's the only reason he did it.
That's a very good point. So yeah, because I was being an idiot with our Twitter account because I was like, if I only have a couple news places, then I could use the fucking podcast Twitter feed as a research tool. And I was just like, never thought that maybe I should spread the word about the podcast. So that's what I'm doing. If you follow the podcast, I promise I will follow you back. This is fucking 2011 Twitter right now. Yeah, send us an email if you have any feedback. It's outragefactpod@gmail.com. Is the Patreon working again, or was it that people are all too cheap and stingy that Patreon won't let us get anything?
I think I got it up and running again. Let me double check. Yeah, you know what? I'm not, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah, and if you are listening to this audio version, and I know this is a very specific group of our podcast listeners, but if you're listening to this because you downloaded it and you don't have Facebook, so you can't watch the live stream, I've been putting everything up on YouTube so you can go watch the video there. So I think there's like 3 or 4 of our listeners / past guests who don't have Facebook, which, I mean, teach their own.
Yeah, and make sure if you're there, you smash that like and subscribe button. Send us money wherever you can. Buy merch from where is it? Redbubble, T-Fury.
Yeah, Redbubble. I always put the link in the show notes so you could go look. I was gonna show you guys. I have one of the masks. I don't know where I put it. Oh my god, I'm so unprofessional. Oh, right here. It's right beside me. These are the masks that are for sale.
For those of you who are listening to the audio version of this podcast, let me just tell you, it's super dope, and you should get one.
I just want to say I like red bubble masks the best because they're the thinnest, so they're the easiest to breathe through, which probably means they're the least protective against COVID. But hey, you're technically wearing a mask. So there you go. All you anti-maskers out there who complain about the mask being too hard to breathe through, go buy one of ours and then you will be able to breathe.
You can breathe through it, and then you can also show your love for the world's best internet outrage related podcast. Thank you once again from the bottom of our hearts, wishing you and yours the very best in 2021. Thanks for joining us on this crazy fucking ride. And until next year,
stay angry.